Hello again and welcome to this video on Brownfield branch deployment using the APIC-EM IWAN app. In this video we'll be setting up our first branch using the Brownfield provisioning method. And for those that aren't aware, Brownfield refers to existing branches with already configured hardware that are brought into the new IWAN domain, as opposed to Greenfield, which refers to a device that's brand new out of the box and hence hasn't been placed into production yet. Brownfield support was actually just recently introduced within the IWAN app, and it allows for easy migration to IWAN using your existing hardware. Now that our hubs are all set up, we'll start our journey with branch 3 and its dual MPLS connections. Similar to our hub configuration, we'll want to make sure that our branch routers are good to go before we start pushing any configuration to them. As such, we've compiled a bit of a checklist for you to consider as you prepare. First, ensure that you have the correct license installed on your branch BR and master controller. For an ISR 4K, you'll want the application experience and security licenses. If you're running ASR 1Ks, you'll want the advanced enterprise or advanced IP services software feature set, with or without the IPsec license, depending on your platform. And again, if you purchased your routers using Cisco WAN Foundation, you're entitled to the necessary licensing. Just make sure that it's installed. Next, make sure you've got the right version of iOS loaded. As of the time of this video, the minimum software release that we recommend is 3.16.4b for iOS XE-based devices and 15.5.3 M4A for iOS-based devices. Additionally, there's some basic configuration tasks you'll want to complete so that things go smoothly during provisioning. First, make sure you remove any existing VPN configuration from the branch BR. This includes tunnel interfaces, ISAKMP and IPsec policy, certificates, and any front door VRFs you might have configured. You'll also want to make sure to remove any existing PFR configuration. Review your existing INBAR and QoS policy as well. While it's not required to remove these elements from the router, we recommend that you do so to allow the IWAN app to provision them for you according to the CVD. Next, configure a local login that the IWAN app can use for provisioning purposes. Remember, if you're using AAA for login, part of the provisioning process may leave your AAA server unreachable temporarily. The local login you configure here should match that of AAA so that the IWAN app can maintain administrative access to the router during the blackout. The IWAN app queries your branch router for its capabilities using SNMP, so make sure you configure a read-only string for it to use. SNMP v2 is the default with APIC-EM, but SNMP v3 is also supported. If you're going to use SNMP v3, make sure that you select CBC DES or CFB AES 128 as your privacy method. Since the CLI is used to provision these devices, we recommend that you configure additional VTY lines on the device so that APIC-EM can spin up several sessions simultaneously. Say that 3 times fast. Lastly, to avoid any warnings during the provisioning process, we recommend that you configure an NTP server. This is not required, however, and the router will inherit one during the provisioning process, but again, just to avoid any warnings during the provisioning process, consider configuring one ahead of time. Now that we know our environment is prepped and ready to go, let's head over to the IWAN app. From the IWAN app main dashboard, start by clicking on the Manage Branch Sites portion of the wheel. You'll be placed in the Devices tab of the Sites page. Click the Add Brownfield Device button. Any devices discovered by APIC-EM's device discovery process will show in this window. In our case, we've not run any discovery queries, so we'll add the router manually. Click the link to add a new device. Just like with our hub configuration, enter the IP address of your branch router, the SNMP read-only string, access method, and credentials. Clicking Add Device will prompt the IWAN app to go query the device in question and ensure it meets the minimum set of requirements, most of which were just discussed in our checklist. When finished, you'll be dropped back into the device listing page. Before proceeding, you'll need to give the site a name by clicking on the device within the site name column. Here, I've labeled my site Indianapolis. Place a checkbox to the left of the device you wish to provision and click the Provision Site button. In the first portion of the wizard, we're asked how many clouds this router is connected to. Since our router is dual-homed to 2 MPLS clouds, we'll select that option. Next, we need to select how this router is connected to its own local LAN. In L2 mode, the IWAN app assumes that there is no Layer 3 device behind the branch router, and that the branch router has direct Layer 2 adjacency to all hosts on the branch network. Conversely, the L3 option assumes that an additional Layer 3 device exists behind the branch router, like a multi-layer switch. It is assumed that the branch router will be routing traffic to this device, so this option provides us with the capability of lighting up a routing protocol on the LAN. Since our router is directly connected to the LAN, we'll select the L2 option. In our final screen, we'll configure a few topological parameters. Much like the hub configuration, click on the green plus signs to input the necessary data. Follow along as I make the changes. SP1 is connected to Gigabit Ethernet 2, and if you'll recall, we had a custom 4-class QoS profile created that we need to add to this link. SP2 is connected to Gigabit Ethernet 3. Lastly, our LAN interface is set up. Again, had we chosen the L3 option, this screen would have allowed us to configure a routing protocol with which to peer with a downstream device. Click the Apply Changes button to bring up the scheduling window. We'll push our configuration now, but you have the option of scheduling the changes as well. And after a few minutes, our branch is configured. From here, just like on the hub, feel free to poke around on the command line of the device to see what the IWAN app did. And as always, if you have any questions about what you've seen today or have a suggestion for a use case you'd like to see, feel free to reach out to us at iwanapp-pm@cisco.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.